Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Chippewa Hockey Download. We're back. It's been a year and a half. Joe, I think I saw a saying out there, or I heard a saying from the Hockey House that said, 95% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and I immediately thought of our podcast. I'm like, oh, well,
Yep, me too.
They're at 100, we're at number 4.
Yeah, me too. I was literally like, okay, like that's our bracket. So we had to change that. We had to make more episodes. We're back. No Reagan with us, but we got a really good guest today, everybody. We have the newly instated head coach, the 6th head coach of the Central Michigan Division III club hockey team. Please welcome Brennan Martin.
Thanks for having me, guys. Big fan of the show. Happy that we're keeping the podcast living here.
Yeah. Last episode we did, I think we talked to Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie Hayes.
Yeah, talked to him for a little bit.
That was a fun conversation, man. He had some really good stories, really good insight. He had a good whale story too, that we had to censor out a lot of. But
yeah,
Charlie's a good character.
I bet
We'll mention him throughout this episode. But let's go around the table. Joe, how you feeling, man?
Oof, man, stressed out a little bit. Just got off of my 6-week summer course through GRCC. It wasn't too bad though. Towards the end, it was just working on a 8-page paper, and then going back to work. I had to get money. I'm broke. College takes a lot out of you.
Same, man.
For rent, food, travel, especially.
Inflation,
But
the smog.
inflation, yeah, man. Going to McDonald's, got to pay $8 for a burger. No, not doing it.
That's brutal,
No more.
man. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're making more than me probably. But right now I'm just trying to struggle away at DoorDash. It's not really going well. But Marty, how you feeling, man? It's been a while since we talked to you. I think last time we talked to you directly was in Boston right before Game 3 when you guys played Air Force. So how you feeling, man?
Yeah, feeling good. It's been a busy summer. Kind of slowed down for a little bit in the month of June, but things are starting to ramp up here now into July, and we're looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting year.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we're really excited to cover it too. It's the start of my senior year last year, hopefully, if I don't, fail any stuff or flunk out or none of that. I was well on my way last year, but still kick and go. And Joe, it'll be your 3rd year, so should be fun. We're hitting the peak of our content game, so really excited.
I know, I can't believe it. 3rd year.
I can't believe it, man. It's my 4th year. Like, I remember the days of COVID when it was like a 9-10 game season, and we went to nationals in Grand Rapids, and I was calling it off my laptop, this microphone, and God knows whatever console system I had to cover it. But this episode's not about my journey in broadcasting Acha hockey. It's about Brennan Martin. 6 years, 156 games played, 158 points. 2-time Vezina Cup champ. Your 2nd all-time points on the team, 3rd in all-time goals, and 3rd in club assists. The records speak for itself, man. So well-deserved accolades, and certainly the right guy for the job to become the next head coach. So just kind of tell us, man, like what you got going on with your life, and outside of hockey, what's going on with you, man?
Yeah, I mean, just honestly, just working away. The hockey kind of ended. Let's go right to grad school. I guess that would have been my last semester that was playing on the team. So wanted to go right back into grad school, get my master's degree. That's kind of been a goal that my family and I had kind of set for myself when I decided I wanted to go to college right out of high school. And so when I had the opportunity to do it, it's kind of a no-brainer for me just to kind of finish it all up, and then to be able to do it at Central, and then finally have the opportunity to come back and coach this team too. It's been an awesome couple. I'd say about a year now. It's been a great year for me. I've learned a lot for sure. How to manage your time a little bit better, especially getting a master's, working a full-time job, and now coaching. So definitely had to make some sacrifices and grow a little bit, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it for sure.
Yeah, the sacrifices are second to none. And we covered it pretty well last year, how you actually became the head coach with former coach Tyler Cataline leaving midseason, and then you kind of stepping in during that Grand Valley series, and then the Miami Showcase, where, man, that was a fun time. Beating number 2 Missouri State, beating Nebraska, really just getting this team back into Nationals contention, and obviously you guys made it at the 16th spot, and didn't go so well at Nationals, but it was just cool for all the seniors to make it and all that. And boy, Joe, I mean, just thinking about Marty, I think about the years playing. Talk about to us kind of growing up with hockey and kind of what you did to get to CMU, and we know you were a big kind of roller hockey guy, playing down in Florida, playing a bunch of tournaments. Just talk about hockey growing up for yourself.
Yeah, so it was really just all hockey for me from the start. I had tried playing other sports, like your baseball, basketball, soccer, football, but I didn't really have the passion for them. But I found that hockey was something that I enjoyed doing every day. So for to be able to start playing roller hockey, I actually started playing roller hockey first, and I'm a huge endorser in the game of roller hockey for any ice hockey player, just because I think it's good to stay on some sort of skate, and definitely helps with your patience, with your passing, with your hands for sure. So that was pretty much my childhood, was in the fall and winter time playing ice hockey, and then once the spring and summer hit, switched out the ice skates for the rollerblades, and played a few months of roller hockey for the summer. So met a lot of really good people through roller hockey. Still have a lot of really good friends that I talk to today from it, and hopefully in the future, once maybe I'm done coaching up at Central, I'll get back into roller hockey for those summer months, because it was something that I really enjoyed. But once I got to high school, I went and played at Novi High School, and that was just because of the history that they winning a state title in 2011. So while I could have went to the schools like Detroit Catholic Central or St. Mary's or whatnot, Novi was at the peak of its program at that time. So it was a perfect case for me, and got to meet a lot of really good people at Novi, a lot of really good coaches, a lot of really good resources, honestly, from there. And so that was kind of where I felt hockey had kind of taken off for me, was when I really started playing at Novi, and kind of thought about the idea of going to play college hockey. And so I going to Central, I wasn't even really thinking about going to Central, to be honest with you guys, but my brother was in the marching band there, so I was already going up to Central pretty often, and it was actually my mom that made me apply to Central, just as a plan B if I ended up not wanting to go play junior hockey. And 7 years later, it paid off, so I have no regrets with it.
Yeah, no regrets. And I just wanted to kind of go back. It's kind of interesting that you started off with roller hockey, and then you transitioned to ice hockey. Usually it's ice hockey, and then guys go into roller hockey for like the off season, whatever, just to stay in shape and get keep in touch with the hand coordination. Was there any obstacles or challenges from transitioning from roller hockey to ice hockey, or was there a lot of similarities between the two?
Well, I think the biggest transition was just skating. In roller hockey, there's no offsides or icing, so a lot of it's doing turns and trying to find the open space. Whereas in ice hockey, it's a lot of stops and starts. So that was a big challenge that I had growing up, was not turning away from the puck, always keeping your chest on the puck, your head up, and so that was the biggest obstacle I had. But I did notice that, from going to roller hockey to ice hockey, that my patience was a lot better with the puck. I felt more confident when I had the puck on my stick, and felt like I could playing for roller hockey against some really good ice hockey players too. A lot of kids that were playing AAA or committed to NCAA schools. I would go up against them for 4 months straight. So when you're playing against better players, they make you better. That's something that I firmly believe in. So I think that contributed a lot to it. And then, once I got to Central, it just kind of all came together.
That's awesome stuff. Yeah, I know the roller hockey stuff was passionate for you. Especially, how much fun was it to go to Florida, man? Like, we go down there every other year for the the trip to Florida Gulf Coast, and we played them in 2-game series. And I remember for me and Joe doing that the first time, it was cool. But like, dude, like, is Florida hockey like the move, man? Like, Florida's basically the state of hockey now. Like, every NHL team that's there has been good. Like, Tampa, back-to-back cups. Florida just lost to Vegas in the final. But like, just talk to us about Florida, man. Like,
Yeah, it's honestly, it's crazy. I mean, I started going down there when I was probably 12, 13 for these roller hockey tournaments. And, we would play against teams from Florida, and then you'd have teams from, Missouri, Colorado, New York, all over the country. Even sometimes you'd have teams from South America, like Colombia, Brazil. They would send teams up there to play against you. So, I mean, the roller hockey is definitely, it's growing as an international sport. And to be able to, I've said, be able to play at that rink probably 10 years prior to going with Central, it was, it definitely had some special feeling going back to it, and just, remembering all those good memories that you had with, with your buddies when you were younger, going to the rink. And, roller hockey, you'd play 3-4 games in a day. So you definitely spent a lot of time at that rink. And from that, just the memories that were made. And when I started going there, it was called Germain Arena. So now it's Hertz, and it's still the same, but it's awesome.
yeah, and they just had the Everblades just won back-to-back Kelly Cups, dude. Like, that place is the move. Like, if you're from Fort Myers, like, you follow any hockey, like, kind of in that western area, like, it's really good to see, like, the growth of it. And I know it makes for a great vacation spot. We'll be back there, right, next year. So that's going to be a bittersweet for me, but for you guys, it's going to be hopefully at that point in the season a big trip for the team, and moving on with hopefully a successful year. So we went from rollerblading, your background in getting started with CMU. Joe, you got a question to ask first? I was going to ask him about his first couple of years at CMU, but I'll let you go if you have anything.
Oh, my questions are kind of more down the line of this past season and just an outlook of this next season.
Okay, cool. So then we'll get to some of the background stuff still. So let's kind of transition now to that kind of CMU talk, Brennan. First couple of years, boy, you have played on some really, really good teams. Like, not even just for the Acha's sake, but like guys that were coming from what could have been junior leagues and really high skill, high development. Guys like Dalton Sutherland, Shane Agnello. I believe it was Brett Gleason. Oh boy, that alumni, if he watches this, is gonna hate me. But dude, talk to us about just playing with those guys, man, and how special it was, because you guys pulled off some really big wins for what was at the time a program that didn't see much success.
Yeah, I came in as 18-year-old. I was one of 2 freshmen that were on the team at the time. Another kid named Chase Wallace came in, and then Shane Agnello joined a little bit later into that season. But it was pretty crazy to go from playing high school hockey with kids that are 15, 16, 17 years old to playing with grown men that are mid-20s, younger 20s. So that was a big wake-up call for me, honestly, having to kind of grow up quick, mature quick, play a different style of hockey and learn a lot of these guys have been playing together for the last 3-4 years, so they all had a lot of chemistry coming into the year. And I think that Dalton Sutherland definitely helped me out as a freshman because he was a sophomore, so we were 2 of the younger guys at the time. So he definitely played a big role in kind of being that big brother for me and helping me out my freshman year at least. And then we kind of grew closer together through that. But you could tell that first year that we were definitely ready, and there was bits and pieces of that first year where we thought that we can go and do this. We split with a lot of teams that year, and just to kind of see the transition from that first year to the second year, we didn't really lose any we didn't lose that many returners, I should say. And the pieces that we brought back in were very big key pieces for that second year. Guys like Joey Simon-Selly and Alex Lasky. That was really their recruiting class. Colin Smith, all those guys played 3-4 years. Gabe Smith, these kind of guys were we kind of set the presence for what was going to be coming for the next 4 years. And we were all very close, and obviously it's club hockey, so you don't have to take it that serious. It's not a requirement, but I think that what kind of separated us from a lot of teams that second year was that we were all bought in on the game, and we wanted to win. I think that from that first year, those guys, we kind of thought it was what was an off year for us, and so the year prior to that, they had gone to the Final Four. So to not even make it to that national tournament that next year, I couldn't really, I couldn't really speak for myself on that because I wasn't a part of that team, but you could tell that those guys were not too happy that that second year was that was a very special year for me in the game of hockey, for the team. That kind of sparked my passion for Central hockey, seeing how passionate these guys were when it wasn't required for them to be. That was what they wanted to do in college, where you can kind of get off and go join other activities, other club sports teams. You can have that quote unquote college kid life, but we wanted to play hockey, and we were excited about playing hockey, and we wanted to play as much hockey as possible. I think we played maybe over 40 games that year. We played the week after Labor Day, but that was what we all wanted to do. That was for a lot of us, that was the reason why we were at Central at that time, was to play hockey. And because of that, we got a degree from it. So,
well, I think it's so cool how you mentioned like just the buy-in. Like we talk all the time, so serious about the statistics and the physicality and the style you talk about. But like honestly, when you were playing, first starting to play, like it was very much considered like in the club hockey world like that, like not very serious. You can go to the rink for 2 days of practice, go out on a Thursday night, have a game on Friday, go out that Friday, Saturday, go out, and obviously that make it better or worse depending on if you win or not. But honestly, it wouldn't matter most of the time. A night at the Stone is still a night at the Stone, right? So,
right.
It's still fun. But, yeah, I mean, just, again, like, the fact that you guys had all this buy-in as a club team, and then it turned into kind of this tradition, this real culture. I think it's really, really cool to see. And the fruits of your labor have definitely come true with, what is it now, Joe? 4 Nationals appearances in the last 6 years. Thinking about what was
Yeah. Yeah, 4 or 5 national appearances,
yeah,
in a row, almost.
The year before Grand Rapids was 2018 when you guys made it. Well, let's think about this. You guys qualified for Dallas that COVID year, and then the pandemic happened, so you guys never actually went to that. Shout out the world for ruining that opportunity, and that was a good team. I know you've mentioned that a lot to us, how you think that team kind of had maybe a little bit of a title run snatched from it.
Yeah, obviously you don't know what happens. I think that a lot of times within the ACHA, it's all about what team gets hot at the right time. And if you look at that year that we had, I mean, we started out pretty rough. I think we maybe started out 1 or 4, 1 or 5, and just that second semester, I think that was the first time that I maybe went down to Florida, was that year. I think it was.
Yeah.
And we got a big sweep against Florida Gulf Coast, and then we kind of took off, honestly. And then, once we hit that Vezina Cup tournament, going to be, I think we beat Michigan, who were all top 4 in our region for sure, if not top 4 in the country at the time. That was a huge confidence boost for us. And, that was a lot of, guys that we had played with for, 2-3 years. That was their last year. Guys like Jackson Jeanette, Shane Agnello, Dalton Sutherland. It was really big for those guys. Jacob Lansuki. I mean, that was
Yeah.
where it kind of all that was kind of where it all came together for us. So, having that get canceled, I think that um, even to talk about it now, it's still pretty tough, honestly, just because there's always going to be that what if factor. And obviously,
Yeah.
I don't want to say, yeah, oh yeah, we would have won it for sure, but I do think we had a pretty good chance at making a run for it for sure.
Well, I mean, if we're talking like relativity, like you're talking in this team, kind of like reminds me of how 2018 you guys had a wagon, like an absolute wagon, and you guys ran into one of the greatest Hope teams of all time when they won their first Natty. Um, yeah, disappointing, but I mean, you guys still won a bunch of games. You just mentioned that. You said beating a top 4 team in Michigan, was it?
Yeah, I think that would have been 2020 when COVID had started.
Yeah. Michigan just won their first national championship this past year at nationals, beating Hope College. Joe, you and I watched that game, and boy, was it surprising to see Michigan pull out to a 5-1 lead
Yeah,
after
it
Hope
was.
just pretty much. Gong showed what was it, Lawrence Tech, like 8-3 or something before that. It was
Yeah. I mean, I was in the arena. I was just waking up, had my Dunkin' coffee that morning, getting ready to go, sat in my position, boom, bang, 20 minutes in, it's like 3-0. And I'm just like, I have to rub my eyes and keep looking at the scoreboard because I'm like, 3-0 Michigan? Really? Is this the year? Because the last 4 or 5 years, they were either runner-ups or at least made it to the Final
yeah,
Four.
yeah,
So to see them actually come together, put that team chemistry together, and actually defeat Hope College, the Dutchman, my goodness, I didn't want to see him win three in a row. It's something that hasn't been done since Adrian, and I know a lot of the MCHC teams were happy with the result, and in the locker room, I just told them, thank you from Central Michigan and the MCHC, thank you. I mean,
thank
it
you for
was kind
slaying
of
the
like,
giant.
yeah, yeah, they slayed the Giants, and I could just tell they were exhausted, but so like exhaustion didn't matter at that time. I mean, they just won, their first national title, and you could see that they were really ecstatic about that.
Yeah, and we'll put a disclaimer. I'm not a Hope hater personally. I know there's a lot of animosity towards them in the MCHC. They're pretty much the team to beat year in year out. So the Hope College faithful, congrats to them on their Vesna Cup win. But Michigan got their revenge in the national championship. And remember Reagan wasn't he keeping stats or something next to the broadcast crew? Tyler Kuehl, our friend at from Davenport, was calling that game.
Yeah, I
Reagan's
was up
sitting
in
up there. I'm looking over
yeah,
at him when it's like 3-1, 4-1. I'm
yeah,
like, dude, like we're witnessing like the impossible right now.
yeah. Felt like I was in another multiverse. Didn't
Yeah,
feel real.
yeah. And they're a young team, so they're going to be one to talk about this entire year. And I'm sure Marty, you're sitting over there, scheming about how you can find ways to get around that team because boy, do they have talent. Let's kind of transition a little bit to some more fun talk. I had the chance to talk to some guys, some of your former teammates, and figure out some lingo from you. Boy, tell us about the Boston Nationals clipboard event, clipboard incident.
Oh gosh, okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely a rough tournament. I think that everyone knows that. Definitely the outcome, although I do think it was good for the seniors and the freshmen to kind of get an idea of it. But it was after the Missouri game. I think that things had just kind of boiled up, I guess you can say. And I was walking with Tyler Koth, my assistant coach, back to the locker room after it, and kind of looked at him and I said, "Dude, we kind of gotta do something different than what we've been doing before because obviously it's not working and we're not getting that right attention." And so we kind of agreed. Do I break the clipboard? Should I try it? And so
Yeah,
I was kind of flexing the clipboard, to see to see what the odds of doing it were. But all I was thinking was, you have to absolutely break this clipboard. You cannot not break the clipboard
yeah. You
because
can't
that
you
would
can't
make
like double take it. You can't like you can't
no
like smash it and then doesn't
no
break.
that that would have made it even worse. So yeah, got done giving my speech, and I had it in my hand, and I flexed it one last time, and on the flex, went down with it, and it went through, and so I was happy, and I had the adrenaline going that I broke the clipboard, and then I took a couple steps out of the locker room and realized how much it hurt. So, I couldn't be doing that anymore. I had to go. I went and bought a new one. So, I even asked the pro shop if maybe they had some insurance for it, but they didn't. So we're not breaking it. We're not breaking any more clipboards. But yeah, that was kind of. I mean, that was I feel like it's something you got to do. Just
Yeah, give you a little spark, kind of the old Herb Brooks in the locker room, flipping the table, getting the goalie riled up, and yeah, that Miracle on Ice scene is what I think of. That one's credit to Charlie Hayes for that one. He's more concerned about how much the clipboard hurt when you smashed it. You feel like you broke your kneecap a little bit?
it was more like man, it was hurting afterwards. I had to go walk it off for sure. I had to go walk it off. It was a tough clipboard.
Yeah, gotta be tough in there, when it's getting out of hand. But you gotta laugh at yourself sometimes, and it's a good story after the fact. Another good story. Tell us about the Florida hot tub. when you went down to Florida.
Oh my gosh!
I heard this one. You supposedly sat or laid down in a hot tub for like 6 hours in Florida.
Yeah, I mean it was our first night down there. As you get down there on Thursday, right? You can you can go and have your beach day or whatnot with the boys, and so we had went and had a great beach day, and we got back to the hotel and had our team dinner, and there was a hot tub, so there's a hot tub. I'm definitely gonna go sit in it for a little bit and relax and just kind of let the muscles get. And, it was like 6 hours later, 5 hours later, and I think I chugged a lot of water, and so I was feeling good, and that was it was pretty much it. There's I think there's some rumors going around about like some strangers coming up or whatnot, but to my knowledge, that was not something that I would have partaken in, and was not willing to do that. So
yeah, you almost first thing I thought of with that was like the Biz Nasty and like Connor McDavid like story with the hot tub, how like that's the secret to his like 100-point season, and like scoring title and winning a Hart Trophy and all that. I think they just retired that. Like Joe, didn't Biz like mention it during the NHL awards, and he got Connor to shout it out.
Yeah, he had to deal with him that during the interview that if he thanked his own hot tub, he would put money towards a charity of his choice. And so at the end, he looked up to Biz and said, "I also want to thank my hot tub." And they just had a moment. It was funny as hell.
Yeah, he finally acknowledged it. Yeah. Marty, you gonna acknowledge that hot tub for your 100+ point career, or what's the hot tub story in your career?
I mean, I think it's just a lot of the guys that I had played with. Honestly, that would probably be what I would dedicate the stats towards, and just hard work, putting in the hard work in the off season. Instead of going out with your friends and having fun during the week. I was training because I wanted to, even though it's club hockey, you can still develop as a hockey player, and you can see where you can get to as a hockey player. So I still had that same focus going into school, and maybe I didn't get to hang out with my friends as much as maybe I wanted to, but at the same time, I wanted to be training and staying on the ice as much as possible. So I mean, it's at some points you just go to a drop-in, go online, look at this, look at the calendar, just stay on the ice. That was my way of having fun. So
yeah, I think instead of they've been talking about doing some work to Martin Ice Arena, like trying to fix that place up, and because that rink is starting to fall apart just a little bit, but. Maybe we should make a bid for just a hot tub, get a jacuzzi after, a little reward, a little incentive. Like you guys pump this team tonight. We'll get you in the hot tub, get your legs loose.
That's right. Yeah, if you get a couple points, you get a few minutes in the hot tub. Maybe depends how they play. If they play well, maybe they get to stay in it a little bit longer. If they have some nights off, maybe they don't get any hot tub time. So.
Yeah, or maybe a little ice bath in the cornerback room. But put some Zamboni ice down, and there you go, boys. There's your reward. He wanted me to ask you how he got so lucky to get the best rookie on the team.
Oh, that would have been a great response.
I mean, we're still recording. You could still answer it for us.
Yeah, well, I guess the realistic answer is I didn't have that many options, but no, he's a good kid. I'm happy that he decided to come be an assistant with me and kind of help me grow within coaching, and it's someone that I consider to be a really close friend of mine, and we spent a lot of time together throughout COVID, so it was bittersweet, watching him, just because a lot of those guys put a lot of effort into the team. So, it's always bittersweet at the end of a season. But when you see your rookie, and then obviously when you see your other friends that you played with go down in that fashion, it just kind of hurts a little bit more, honestly. And so. I'm excited that he's on board with us, and I know TK is excited that he can focus more in on the goalies, and it's going to be the first time in a long time that we've actually had a quote unquote goalie coach. And I don't really know how much TK knows about being a goalie, but he played goalie in high school,
coach
so we'll see.
Yeah, coach is a coach, man. It's like being a teacher. It's like what's the saying? Like if you can't do, you teach. Like the worst players are the people that got cut or teach, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like you.
And I didn't so it would be kind of funny during a game, I'd have TK come up to me and be like, oh, you should have put, his pad down like this or that. And I'd have to look at him and go, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. As long as, this is why you're here. If you, I believe, I trust him. So whatever he says, I go along with for goaltending. And, I would be able to, obviously being a defenseman, there'd be times where I'd have to kind of go over and tell him something, but, it's been an adjustment for me now being the quote unquote forwards coach, since we don't have Whaley anymore. So luckily when I coached at Eastern on their D1 team, I ran the forwards there with John O'Leary. So that kind of paid off, I guess you could say now, and then second semester last year. So, but no, it's Charlie's going to be a great addition. He knows a lot about the game of hockey, and more importantly, passionate about hockey. That's what I'm really looking for with the assistants, and TK and Charlie are both very passionate about this team, and they want to see this team win. So, we're not in this for ourselves or, to get any, credit for coaching. We love this team just as much, if not more than the players on the team do. And it's given us a lot of great opportunities, and it's gotten Charlie and I so far college degrees. So, it was a no-brainer when they asked me if I wanted to take over. It really was. Good stuff.
Boy, let's talk about last year and a little bit this year. Joe, I know you kind of were deferring some of your dialogue towards that. So, boy, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I just I kind of want to talk about. I just want to say, first of all, congrats on becoming the full-time head coach for Central Michigan Hockey Club. I know coming in halfway through the season, especially coming in right before facing GVSU, a couple of days before facing GVSU, you had a tough challenge there. But like coming in, you transitioned from a veteran to a fan to a coach. What was like kind of that struggle going in, first time as a head coach? You're in a locker room where you kind of don't know what the vibe is. It might be off, might be on. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. So, maybe an advantage, honestly, was being a fan at the time. So I was able to see that they had played prior to me coming in. So I kind of saw their strengths and weaknesses, and kind of how they acted as a team and how they acted together. So that was a little bit of an advantage. I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but the biggest challenge for sure was for the players, honestly, for the guys on the team to be able to kind of shift their focus from me being their captain and their teammate to me being their head coach now. I mean, that's not an easy transition for any player at all. So there was some growing pains there for sure. But a lot of the guys, they did a pretty good job at realizing, this is our head coach now. And, I really took it at the time just because I wanted to start some season. It was the perfect fit. And, obviously I had full support from my family and my girlfriend. So, that definitely helped. But, it was a lot of after hours behind the scenes stuff about, just listening to coaches. being in East Lansing, at one of the sports bars, I could go and listen to Adam Nightingale, who's the head coach of Michigan State's NCAA D1 team, with one of my buddies. So I took full advantage of that when I could. And, that's, to me, I think that's where I got a lot of insight about how to kind of go about being a head coach, because I didn't have any experience before with it. So the hockey part I had down, but the coaching part's a whole different ball game. And that first weekend against Grand Valley was definitely it was I was very that my whole point that that week leading up to it was just we need to kind of dial it in here, and you guys got to go win a hockey game. And that first game lost in overtime, so that was a stinger. But to get that second win, there was a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, honestly, because that kind of gave me the confidence that, okay, we can settle down and kind of start getting into the nitty gritty here. And having that first semester break helped out for sure. And I even got help from our former head coach Ryan Morse, who's an athletic trainer now in the hockey world. And he was nice enough to kind of talk to me a little bit and get the boys a workout plan together. So at least I kind of started making a little bit more professional. But yeah, then it kind of settled in that second semester, and went to Miami and got in Nebraska, and that was where I really felt comfortable. So
Yeah, and just speaking on last year's team, obviously coming in, you want to set some objectives and some standards within the locker room and how they play on ice. And obviously every person on the team, on the staff will say, our goal is to win the national championship. Were there any other team or individual objectives that you set right when you got there, and was any of them achieved?
I wanted my biggest goal that I had set from day one was I wanted to win hockey games. That was winning pretty much solves everything. And if you kind of look at where we were in the rankings, we weren't going to lose any games and get in. So I think not putting the pressure on them, but pushing them to just focus on one game at a time. Preparing them for it the right way, putting in the after hours at back at my apartment, watching film on these other, and come up with ways that maybe we can catch them off balance, or a different forecheck to run for them, or how to pressure them the right way. That was big into how exactly are we going to win hockey games here? Because you guys are. I thought they had a really talented team. Big change that I made was introducing four lines, breaking up those lines and kind of sharing the wealth around. And it had its moments. It was a good test, and we got to see guys like Caden Flynn kind of take off, where he had spent most of his career on that third or fourth line, but he didn't really get a lot of recognition that maybe he deserved. So seeing him take off that last semester, that was pretty cool to see from a coaching standpoint, and then getting guys involved like Andrew Miller as well. That was another big guy that I thought potential to play in this league, and I think you needed an opportunity. So that was a decision that I had made, but obviously things are going to be different going into this year. So
Yeah, I mean, change is the big thing that's been talked about between us, between our circles. 16 new recruits you've already gotten so far. I think that's at 17 now. With, I believe, the most recent commitment you guys had was Spencer Messina, the former CMU D2 team's captain there, and boy, talk about some splashes. But a lot of change. Let's kind of get into that change a bit. We had a lot of notable seniors leave last year that were with the program for a really, really long time, if you think about it. Guys like Keelan Baker, Charlie Hayes, Austin Ritter, Kyle Chapman, Ben Rydchuk, and Hayden Flynn. Three of those guys, I think maybe all four included, were the original leadership group. The assistant captains, obviously, Keelan and Charlie shared the captaincy, and then Benny and your brother were the assistant captains. So you get one of those guys back in your brother, and Chris. But boy, just tell us about kind of this recruiting cycle you've had and what it's been like. We could talk about each down the line. That would take way too long, but kind of just give us the gist of like what it's been like getting all these guys to come here.
Yeah, honestly, it's that was a big win for me in my mind for the team. We haven't been able to officially have all of the best hockey players on the campus of Central Michigan on one team, and now we're going to have that. So it's going to be a really exciting year. One thing that I kind of took into account was the experience in the ACHA. With all of a lot of the that we brought in, I guess you could even consider guys from D2 as transfers as well, just because they played, some of them have played 3-4 years on that team. So these are guys that are going to come in that already know what it's like to play in the ACHA. When you're an incoming freshman, you have a little bit of that that transition period of going from high school hockey or junior hockey into ACHA hockey. Now we're going to have guys that we could have over 500-600 games combined of experience in the ACHA next year, just with the guys that we've brought in. Just from my playing career, I kind of related it back to that. The years that we succeeded pretty well, we had a lot of experience. So I'm hoping that bringing those guys in, it's going to spark kind of a light within the team, within our returners to kind of take off. And I know we had talked in Boston just how I was looking at for next year, and I think that we've done a pretty good job, myself and the assistant coaches, at bringing in the right pieces that are going to help this team mold into a contending program. So definitely exciting.
Yeah, and as you said, the biggest thing heading into the off season was adding depth. I mean, this whole past year we've had, guys, they come to the rink, they practice, but they're guaranteed a spot because there's no one left that is a healthy scratch. Should I blanked? Hold on a second.
He's got the journalist mode on, man. He's got to get the story in. We got to get the right question in, man.
All right. Excuse me. So back to what I was saying.
Oh, good job.
Now you got a plethora of guys. It's your first season as the head coach, or your first off season as the head coach, and you bring in 16 guys. A third of them from the D2 club, but also like the majority of them from outside of CMU's campus. And like during the prospect skates, how do you evaluate and analyze a player's skill set because you're getting 30 to 40 guys hitting you up during the offseason. It must be tough and, analyzing each one separately to see how they fit with the team.
Yeah, that's actually a great question, Joe. That was something that Tyler Koth and I, and then Charlie Hayes a little bit later on. That was something that we kind of asked ourselves: how exactly do we want to judge these guys? And we kind of took the approach of where do we see them in our lineup? Where exactly do we see them contributing? And is it a good fit? I'm not a big fan of bringing a player in that's not going to play. I think that's unfair to the player. I think that's unfair to their family. To make someone pay that money just to be a practice guy is it. So because of that, I was looking at what guys I thought could play in my lineup. What guys I think I could put out on the ice and them to be able to go and compete. So when evaluating those players, it was really how where exactly are they going to fit in our lineup? Are they going to have depth? Are you going to be a power play guy? Are you going to be a penalty kill guy? Starting goalie, second, third, kind of working your way up. So, and you had kind of pointed it out earlier. If you look at all the guys that we've had, get injured, we've had probably for the last 3-4 years, we've had to have forwards come back and play defense. And
yeah, like Keelan, and I mean he's already a forward, but I know he had to, and then Chappie, even Sirac had to play defense, like Sirac, Andrew Siraki, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Austin Ritter, Austin Whaley, Jacob St. Andre, Dalton, other can play defense because we didn't have enough defensemen. So being able to bring in guys that are going to have depth, but not only that, but guys that can go and you can put them in the lineup any day of the week and they're going to go and be able to contribute for you. That was super crucial for the coaching staff here. Was we need to find a way to put a team that's going to compete for a full 60-minute hockey game, and sometimes that goes down to workload management. You can't go out and win a game with 6 forwards and 4 defensemen. If you look at Hope, who's won 3 national titles in the last 5 years, these guys, they have 4 lines that are deep, and anyone that's not in the lineup, they could put in the lineup, and those guys could go and contribute. So these guys, they're not overworking themselves. Whereas we've always had a team that can go out and compete with them, but we can't compete with them for a full 60 minutes right now. Or prior to going into this year, we couldn't do it. So it was, and I think that took a toll on a lot of the guys, even back to when I was playing. It was frustrating because we knew that the core group of guys that we had were solid enough to go and win a national championship, but we didn't have a surrounding cast to get it done. And so now this year, we're going to have enough guys that I don't need to play. I'm not going to have to play 6 forwards to win a game. I'm going to be able to play 12 forwards for 60 full minutes. I'm going to have guys that can just be penalty killers, just be power play guys for me, guys that can hone in on that part of their game, and we're going to get the most out of it. And even if you look at goalies, the goaltending that we have this year, we could even split 3 goalies at one point. So it's an exciting time, and it's a to know that those core group of guys that we've had on the team for 3-4 years, they should be very excited about this upcoming season. They should.
And just taking a look at this prospect pool, I know I don't want to get into the nitty gritty and I don't want to go through all of them, but as you said before, we had to, utilize some guys to play that were forwards to play defense, or defense to play forwards. We had Chappie this past season play forward a couple of games, and as Devin said, we had Zaraki too. But for this prospect pool of 2023 for us, we have Ryan Grillu, a guy who can play forward and defense. I know we got depth forward and defensive wise, but what does it mean to have a guy that can play both forward and defense, and you don't have to worry about where to slot him in there?
Yeah, I mean that's huge, honestly, just because things are going to happen throughout the season. It's happened every single year since I've been playing and now coaching, where you have to make decisions in the middle of a game, and to have players that have experience both playing forward and instead of moving someone that's played forward their whole career. Now you got to go play defense, and you got to figure it out against the top 10 team in the country. Now it's gonna make a huge difference. And having forwards that have experience playing defense means that they're a little bit defensive. They're a defensive forward, which I like too. I like my offensive defensemen, and I like my defensive forwards just because those are guys that can make a play at any point. They're two-way players. They know where to go. They know when to take their time at any position. So it's going to make a huge difference. And I think just like I said, that supporting cast that we're going to have around our core players, it's all going to. I'm hoping that it's all going to come together. So.
Yeah, I mean, so exciting to just see the wave of new players and obviously the dynamic of guys going from D2 to D3. I mean, that's been on the minds of people that have watched this team, parents, family, friends, and people that go to CMU, and it'll certainly be fun to watch you sculpt the team. It's going to be even more fun to get to know these guys before the season starts. I know me and Joe are going to have to get real busy here with the media side, start making some more graphics, get off the couch and get our cut our teeth a bit like you are. So we got some catching up to do, Coach. Let's you talk about the strength of MCHC. I don't want to go on too much longer. I think we've been going for almost an hour here. I mean, I could talk to you guys for hours, but let's talk
all night.
Let's talk about the MCHC a bit. This league is getting better and better every year. I think I saw Joe, you and I when we were in Boston talked about. I don't have the exact stats. We're pretty big nerds on the numbers here, so maybe Reagan's listening after the fact and he'll correct us. But I think 12 of the last 13 national champions in men's Division III have been from the MCHC. Half of those, the Final Four, has been MCHC teams. That was the case last year or this year with Grand Valley, Lawrence Tech, Saginaw, and Hope. So, let's look at the schedule for this year. Series against Ferris State University. Ferris State split with you guys last year. You guys beat them on their ice in the season opener, then they came to Martin Ice Arena, got the win there. Notre Dame, that was a tough series last year. Joe and I were there to watch that and see them lose big in the first game and then overtime the second one. Notre Dame every year is a powerhouse. Michigan State will be fun to see that back on the schedule with those guys. Very good team in their own right. Lawrence Tech, you talk about depth. This team is deep as it gets. They roll fourth lines, and they've got that squadron of scratches that act as a student section, so they're always a little bit of a character to play against. Saginaw Valley State, this team was probably the favorites to win the MCHC last year and then Nationals. None of those happened, but they're going to be a really good team. The rest of the schedule features Adrian College, Florida Gulf Coast, Grand Valley State, Oakland, who you guys lost to in the first round of the conference playoffs, Illinois State, new addition to the schedule, as well as Northwood. Good to see them back in the MCHC after they took a year off. And then you guys close out the series with Michigan. Now, obviously, all of this can change. There's going to be a showcase in there as well. Is it the Miami showcase?
Yeah, we're still working on the ins and outs of that right now, but potentially.
For sure. Yeah, and obviously this whole schedule is TBD. Just tell us, I mean, so early in the summer still, but what are kind of the games you got scheduled on there, man? Who are you most excited to play, and who's kind of on your radar? And I know you're getting fancy with the pool of coaches, and you've known players in this league for a long time. So who are you looking at most, and who are you most excited to play?
Well, only team on my mind right now is Ferris State. Getting through that first weekend, that's going to be the main focus for us once that our training camp starts. Is we got to go out to Big Rapids and we got to win a game on that Friday. So that's the one that I'm most excited about. I am excited to get Michigan State back on the schedule. I think that's a great East versus West matchup, and Michigan State, they're going to be a good team. They've always had a pretty solid team. So they're really good coached, and besides that, it's really my main focus is on Ferris right now. The schedule that I had built, though, I wanted to play a lot of hockey games. I wanted to play against good hockey teams. I want these guys to play the best. I think playing those top teams is going to get the guys all pumped up. It's going to have them ready to go. It keeps them engaged. I don't want to have a week of practice leading up against a team that no one's excited to play. So putting some more exciting teams on the schedule, some bigger matchups, some early big matchups for them. The schedule, it's going to be a good one. We could have some more games on the way potentially, but as of right now, the coaching staff and our main focus is on Ferris State. September 22nd, 23rd.
Oh yeah, I believe that is the season opener. September 22nd. I believe Ivoclaven is the first site at Ferris, so yeah, that should be exciting. And I did go down the order from the start of the season to the end, so it'll go Ferris State, Notre Dame, Michigan State, and then Lawrence Tech. That is a very, very, or then Saginaw. That's a crazy first 10 games. That's certainly some of the best, including, in my mind, Notre Dame, Lawrence Tech, and Saginaw. But overall, it's gonna be a challenge for sure. Joe, your initial reactions kind of to the schedule too, bringing you into this, and you got anything to mention to Marty about it?
Yeah, just looking at the schedule right away, the first thing that popped out to me was probably Lawrence Tech. The last couple of years, maybe for a while now, it's always been a second half team, and to play them right away, the fourth week heading in, it'll be a great opportunity for the guys to actually, go full force right away. Because I mean, last year we had Cleary, Lake Superior State, um, and some other teams too. I don't want to dog on them; they're great teams, but we kind of started off with lower teams, and we got a little too um, confident in how we were. And then we in the second half, it was just week after week. It was Saginaw, Orange Tech, and then you have Michigan too, obviously. But it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm excited for Photograph Coast, obviously. Some new teams, Illinois State. I don't think we've played them yet. Northwood coming back after 2 years off. It'll also be fun too. Former Chippewa alumni Joe Cooper is the
Yeah,
head coach behind the realm,
just
and
gonna mention,
especially
yeah.
the coaching staff. The coaching staff is all from CMU. You got Carey, Stumpf, and Cooper all behind the bench for them. They've had a great offseason as well. They've built up a 25-man team, and they're ready to go too. So I expect even the lowest of teams to come out and hit us with full force. I expect it to be kind of like similar to last season. Yeah, you have Adrian and you have Ferris that work, kind of on the low end of the standings, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more upsets next year and see some more fights from these teams. I don't think there's any team that's going to be easy on the schedule. Obviously, we also have Calvin, a late addition to the schedule. That'll be a fun one. They're always a powerhouse team, and they
Yeah.
actually made it to nationals once again. Didn't see them, but it'll be good. It'll be good. Uh, it'll be good to have all these teams on our schedule.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we covered a lot of stuff in this episode of Chippewa Hockey Download. It was great having you on, Marty. I know it's going to be a busy summer and full of fun, full of more stuff to come, more of your coaching analysis and insight. And boy, we're always glad to have you on and talk to you a little bit about hockey. So, you got anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
No, I mean, I'm grateful that you guys asked me to come on. It was great catching up with you guys. Uh, you know, Tyler Koth, Charlie Hayes, and myself were extremely excited to get this thing going. We talking every day, coming up with different ideas. It's pretty cool to see that it's kind of in our hands now, and so what we put in is what we're fully prepared to dedicate a lot of time and effort into trying, to win some games for these guys. And I just hope that the guys that are coming on the team, they're as excited as we are, because we do think that this is going to be a fun year. So thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Brennan. That was Brennan Martin, recently named the 6th head coach in Chippewa D3 hockey history. We'll be right back with more Chippewa Hockey Download right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 4 of Inside Chippewa Hockey. Devin Sarah alongside Joe Laser, and that was a fun interview, Joe. Catching up with newly named head coach Brennan Martin. He's been the head coach for a while, but we made it official on social media. Great post, by the way. This graphic you made on May 18th, fire. And not just CMU fire. This thing was I thought top tier. Great job, but he had a lot of good stuff to say, man. It was good to hear. And my initial reaction was seeing the people he's talked to, the work he's really putting in. Talking to I think it was is it Nick Nightingale, the head coach of MSU, Dale Nightingale?
Dale Nightingale, yep.
Yeah. Hearing that he went to the meeting in Florida, I didn't know about that. Him going down to the actual head coaching meetings for ACHA, and I guess it was an MSU meeting, hearing from that NCAA coach, that perspective, I thought that was really, really key to he is not just trying to give his player insight. He's really trying to learn, like he said, learn how to be a head coach.
Yeah. That was very awesome to hear. Him going down to Florida, seeing NCAA head coach, trying to learn from what his side of things, coaching wise. Another great thing that I got from that interview was just his overall perspective on how he wants to see this team move forward. He's not, just here to coach and reminisce on the memories of playing at CMU. He's here to compete. He's here to bring guys in and have a shot at a conference that has dominated the ACHA D3 for the last 15 or so years. And just a plethora of guys he's brought in, an impressive 16 guys to fill some of the empty voids that this team really needed, was something that really surprised me. I would get texts from Marty almost 3 or 4 times a week saying, boom, we got this guy, boom, we got this guy, Marty bomb. And I'm just dang, this dude is bringing a lot more guys than I thought he would have brought in. So, and it was great to talk to him and get his insight and what he's doing this offseason, and getting prepared. I loved his mindset. When you asked him which game is most intriguing to you for the season, he's like, Game 1, Bear State.
Game 1, yeah. only focus on the next one. That was probably the most coach answer I'd think of. Yeah. And let's keep in mind that I'm repping the Detroit Lions crew neck here. He's a big Lions fan. He's a big Dan Campbell guy. So I think he's taking some of that grit and biting kneecap mentality with him to his coaching. He didn't mention it, but we know he wants to build a physical team. He wants to build a team that is going to be structured from the blue line in, meaning that he's going to have really good defensemen, really good support, and an offensive defensive mindset where those defensemen will be involved in the play and making that better. We certainly saw last year the power play have its moments, good and bad, more so maybe not on the good side the mid portion of the year. So hearing that insight, like you mentioned, was really, really interesting. Let's get into kind of what we were talking about with those 16 recruits he brought in, starting with going down the line from the Instagram posts you've made and the announcements. Caleb Woolery, goaltender of Forest Hills. Is this New England? NE?
I meant to say Northeastern, or Northern and Eastern, because there's 3 schools and they just teamed up. So
yeah. Caleb Woolery, goaltender, joining the Maroon and Gold for the 23-24 season. Also signed was Lucas Hutton, a defenseman of Novi High School. We didn't mention him too much. I had the chance to watch this guy play at the Michigan Elite Hockey Prospect Tournament in Brighton, Michigan. He was very, very good, very, very sound, reliable, a great skater, and he's going to be a great addition. Former captain at Novi High School. We know how important the Novi to Central connection is. Many, many players have come down the pipeline from there. Obviously, Brennan Martin's a former Wildcat. Isaac Gibbs, Can't think of any
Jay
others. Off the
do?
top. Jay
Yeah.
Nadu. Yep.
Yep.
Perfect example. So, Novi and CMU connection strong there. Isaac Hop, a forward of Gaylord High School, also signed. A defenseman, Kyle Bowerson of Farmington Hills.
Mm-hmm.
1800
Big guy.
Farmington Hills, Little Caesars. That's a very, very good program over there. Excited to have him on. And then some of these Division II announcements were big. Guys coming over from the CMU men's Division II team that has been obviously foretold as something that we don't cover on our side of things, but we know that they've had a lot of shakeups with the coaching staff. Many of the players that were there have left, and a lot of them have joined this team. And Brennan Martin mentioned Joe. Or let's talk about who they are first. Connor Beamish, a forward, assistant captain, who racked up 16 goals, 29 points, or 29 assists, 45 points, and 61 games total for D2. Luke Vasilevich, another forward. Chris Armentrout, a forward as well, from the D2 squad. All these guys are either been there for a while pieces. Marty was mentioning they've been there for either 3 to 4 years. So these guys have a lot of experience. I think combined, he mentioned over 500 games played combined in the Yacha among all the
Yeah.
D2 guys he signed. So very big stuff there. Goaltender Sam Zavelson. This one really caught my eye. He's from Merrick, New York. Played in 21 games last year for the club and put up a .849 save percentage. He's going to be one to watch. That goaltending, I guess a battle you call it. We like to call it the battle, but it's really just the depth lineup they have.
Yeah.
But anyway, Josh Gilgren, a forward transfer from Purdue Northwest, coming over from the ACHA Division I side. Chase Johnson, a forward of Riverview Cabrini High School. This was the major splash among all these commitments, but one of the major splashes, Joe, of this offseason. This kid is so good. Brother of current Chippewa as well, Julian Johnson. So who came over from Adrian College Division II a couple years ago. A lot of points, a lot of goals for the Monarchs last season. He's going to be fun. We'll touch on him in a second. But Jake Bishop, a CMU D2 transfer. Brendan Schultz, another transfer from the Division II team. Will Rapoon, a defenseman. Kyle Robertson, a defenseman. Ryan am I pronouncing this right? Grolio of Grand Blanc
Yeah.
High School.
Yep.
Captain there. Very, very important. We know Brendan Martin's trying to build some leadership there. As we wrap up the commitment, Spencer Messina, former captain of the Division II team, a defenseman. This is what we're talking about, building a team from the blue line in, guys that have experience playing at a high level of ACHA Division II. In the Michigan region, there is some stacked teams in Division II. Michigan State, Adrian come to mind. They don't play an easy schedule, and we do know that the D2 team struggled, but they have played against some great competition, got some great experience. Honestly, just initial thoughts, Joe. I think this is a commitment class like we haven't seen in a long time. New faces, and it's the start of a new era in Chippewa hockey.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And as you said, my first initial reaction was the leadership that came out of this class. You have Lucas Hutton, captain, Ryan Grolu, captain, and then you also have some D2 guys, Spencer Messina, captain, B Mission alternate, and also Luke Vasovic, president of the club, former president, and also another assistant captain. But the big thing too is leadership. You guys have, especially on the D2 side, you have guys that have been in the league. It's a little bit different than D3, but they know ACHA hockey. They know the style. They know how to play at Martin Ice Arena, and they have some really good connections with each other. I got to speak to a couple of them at the first Prospects Gate, the only Prospects Gate I was able to attend. But Sam Zawison, he's heading into his fifth and final year at Central Michigan, and he's excited to join this club. As you said, he wants to be on a team that's that goes deep into the season. and just has a fun time. He's not too worried about starting. He would like to play some games, but just wants to be around the club and be able to mentor any of the goalies or any of the other players that come his way. Some underrated players that have been probably overlooked on the radar. Kyle Bowerson, he's a big dude on the D line, and he presents with a lot of like blocking the goalie in front of the net, especially on a power play. He could just stand right there and block his viewpoint. Ryan Grolu, as I said previously in the podcast, he's a utility guy. He could play forward. He could play defenseman. If you need to switch him up halfway through a game, I'm sure he could definitely make that transition and fill in if a guy goes down or is a little tired after a shift. Um, and then yeah, we have some big guys and also some good puck handling. And another thing I also looked overview after completing the graphics was like we expanded our prospect and recruitment uh, farther from Michigan. We have some guys from Canada,
Yeah.
Atlanta. That was a surprising one. New York, uh, Illinois is a big one too. We have like 3 or 4 guys that come from Illinois. Another big hockey city and state. So it'll be interesting to see their personalities, where their what they bring to the team, and just to get to know them better.
Yeah, certainly. You couldn't have said it any better. I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is what you just talked about, the leadership, but it's also just the shifting of the guard. We mentioned to Brennan the uh, leadership that left CMU, right? Some of the guys that have been there for many of those nationals runs. Keelan Baker, a captain of a couple of years, 2 years, leaving. Charlie Hayes, although possibly has some plans to help out with the team in the future. Austin Ritter, Kyle Chapman at the blue line, Ben Rychuk, a very big locker room guy. It'll be interesting to see who kind of not replaces him. You can't replace Benny. Benny is Benny,
Yeah.
and he's a beauty, and we all love Benny for all the jokes and the whims and the energy he brings. But it'll be certainly interesting to see who can bring that similar energy to the locker room and be that voice and that presence. And then obviously Hayden Flynn, who was the fourth line star and got promoted to that top line there with Nathan Bottles and Andrew Porzonik and played in a really good role. So, which by the way, both those guys, Porzonik and Bottles, will be back. So
Yeah.
it should be very fun to watch these guys for sure. And one additional thing, I mean, we can't ignore the fact that this is the changing of the guard because a lot of these D2 guys are coming over to D3. Possibly this is not, at least you and I, something we thought would happen ever really. And among those two clubs, seeing guys transfer over, we know there's been, like we mentioned, a lot of changes to the men's Division II side, and we certainly hope that team can be successful. They've made a lot of splashes in their recruitment. They named obviously a new head coach, Doug Wickstrom, who's had experience in ACHA before, took GVSU's Division I team to national tournaments, and was at Hudson High School last year with a pretty good squad. So they're doing good things over there. We wish the best for the CMU D2 team, but a lot of these guys, like you mentioned, coming over to D3, certainly will be fun to see the energy they bring and just what they can contribute and how much they really want to win and bring their notable contributions on the blue line and leadership to the group. Let's kind of get things wrapped up a little bit here. Talking about that recruiting, but we mentioned the scheduling. We're going to talk about this more in our next episode. We mentioned in this episode, this is a very deep 23-24 schedule just announced just last month. Talked about it. Lawrence Tech, Saginaw Valley State, Grand Valley. You mentioned the game on your radar was Lawrence Tech because of that depth that they bring and how much of a rivalry that's kind of built into. I am very excited to play Saginaw Valley State back inside their home barn, which is the why am I blanking? Is it Saginaw Bay Ice Arena?
Yeah.
Yep, Saginaw Bay Ice Arena with the marching band playing and the full crowd. That was nuts. I know
Yeah.
you and I had never really experienced an atmosphere like that in the ACHA before. So it'll be good to go back there. And then uh, the Florida trip is going to be very special. Florida Gulf Coast has made it to nationals. I think basically ever since I've been here, the last 3 years, and that'll be obviously a hoot and a holler to go down to Fort Myers again and Hertz Arena and see that kind of atmosphere. But yeah, just reactions to the new schedule.
Yeah, as I said, Lawrence Tech will be definitely a game to watch, especially earlier in the season. Notre Dame too. They're doing they're coming up here for 2 games, and it's gonna we'll see how we do on our own home ice. Last year we kind of struggled, but it'll be good to play more games at home, hopefully in front of a nice full crowd here, and Michigan State too. I mean, I know I don't want to you know say anything too early, but hopefully, praying we might get a Mun Ice Arena, maybe get a game in there.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah,
that'll be fun. And
yep,
then Florida Gulf Coast as well, always a good time. Always just to go down there, hang out with everyone, explore the Fort Myers a little bit, and get to bond with the team and our side too, the media squad and GVSU too. It'll be interesting to see how they regroup after last year's run. They made it to the Final Four, and they're losing Stankiewicz,
yep. Our good
guy
buddy
we
Dominic
good,
Stankiewicz,
yeah, a good buddy for ours. I think
the
they're
stank.
the stank. Dude's electric. We'll see him in St. Louis if we make it.
Yeah,
He'll be a part of the. He'll be taking some photos, either solo or um, with a group. And also, I mean, Northwood too. It's a close town rival. They're just right 20, 30 minutes down the road from us.
yeah,
We haven't played them in a while, and they're under new leadership, and it's always fun to play at Midland Civic Ice Arena, and get to see an old buddy of ours, Joe Cooper, leading the way for them, doing great things over there to start, and obviously too Michigan, uh, getting to talk to them in Boston, uh, right when they won the national championship, just to see their run. They'll be back. They'll be almost a full squad. Remick, yeah, Remick. Dude came out of nowhere last year. His first year was
yeah.
in the
Anthony
league
Remick,
and made a
goaltender for
splash.
Michigan.
Yep, and he made a big splash, won MVP, had crazy numbers in the national tournament, and stood on his head and faced a overpowering Hope College team.
Yeah, Michigan is going to be a team to watch again. They are every year. They finally broke through and won their first national championship this past year. And after so many years of seeing them make nationals and fall deep in the semifinal or the final, and they get it done. And you mentioned they're a young squad. They're returning most of their people. Remick, of course, and their captaincy is going to be there too. So we'll have a lot to talk about with them, and we'll have to recap our time at Boston. Maybe next episode we'll save that. But that's just about going to wrap it up for this episode of Chippewa Hockey Download. I'm glad we could restart this show, and hopefully we get a lot more episodes in and kick off what is to be a very exciting, always fun, and electric Martin Ice Arena to watch our Chippewas start their quest for nationals and a potential furthermore from there. We don't want to see too much anymore from that. But fun
Well,
interview
lips
with
are
Brennan
sealed.
Martin. Yep, lips are sealed, right? And and we'll talk about St. Louis as well, how the national tournament will be returning to St. Louis. That's big news there in Centene Ice Center. But that'll just about do it for this episode of Chippewa Hockey Download. Episode 4, interview with newly announced head coach Brennan Martin. For Joe Lazier, my name is Devin Serra, and thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.